from various fields. Also, we have an educationalist also on the call, as also joining us today, and that's also Mrs. Gertrude Adana Alex Warrior. She's a skilled educational etiquette consultant, the founder of Plumery International School, where she excels in improving students' outcome in mathematics and science. She has empowered individuals and organizations with essential etiquette skills, covering topics like effective communication, table etiquette. Her qualifications include Person BTech Level 5, Diploma in Leadership, and she holds a degree from the Federal University of Technology and also Diploma in Montessori Education as well. She has a dedication to continuous learning and professional development, and also shaping the future of learners and professionals. Ma, we're super excited to have you on this call today. You're welcome. You're welcome. Is she here?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
We're glad to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for honoring us with your presence. All right, so today's session, we also have a child coach that we will be learning from today, and that is no other person than Mrs. Olufulayo Oluwose. She's a certified etiquette consultant and the founder of Best Body Book Hub, a reading club that promotes literacy amongst children. She co-runs a free school for children from Owoshoki slum in Lagos State, Nigeria. She has a master's in international law, commercial law from University of Buckingham, and also a certification as a World Trade Specialist. She has dedicated significant time to the educational sector and also nurturing children into successful individuals. She is happily married with children.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, ma, for honoring us with your presence. Thank you so much, ma.
It's not correct. Why
All right.
you
Like I say, we have today's session is super loaded. We also will be learning from today's session from a child protection lawyer, and that's in the person of Mr. Taiwo Akinlami. He's a committed husband, a father, attorney, and then a social investor dedicated to making intentional positive contribution. Now, emerging from a background of severe abuse, he has become a strong advocate for African children and their caregivers. His mission is to create egalitarian Africa where children can reach their full potentials. Now, Mr. Taiwo focuses on strengthening families through advocacy, community projects, promoting social investment with measurable impact, developing robust social protection system. His champion as African sensitive child safeguarding and protecting system. He has introduced the right-based approach to parenting, centering children's rights and protection. His work's aim is to foster lasting and positive change for African children and families locally and globally. So we are happy to have you here, and we are super delighted to learn from you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I'm also going to introduce an anchor for today's session, and that is going to be the founder of the Good Kids Company, and that is Mrs. Chisom Egwatu. Chisom, we're super excited for you and also having you on this call. And are you here? Can you just say something to the entire community here?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much, Amo. I'm super excited. I can't wait to learn from all our experts today in the house. I mean, we have a full house today, and I know we're going to go home with a whole lot, so I'm very excited. Thank you so much, Amo.
All right, thank you so much, Chisom. So I'm going to leave the rest for you to go ahead now, and while we engage with our experts on the call. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening, everyone, once again. How many of us are excited to be here today? I mean, we've been working towards this. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this day. Are you excited? Can I see some excitement in the comment section or in the chat room? If you know you're excited, can I see some emojis, some celebratory emojis, some excitement emojis? Can we see that in the chat room, please? Great, 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 great. Fantastic. I'm super excited. I mean, like Omo said, the topic of bullying is a major concern. It has become a menace in our society today, and it's very necessary that we address the issue, and we look at it from a holistic standpoint. And that exactly is what we're going to be doing today. Abiodun, I see you. Omo, I see you. Fumi, I see you. That's one of our speakers. I see you. So thank you so much. We're excited as well as you. Yes, we're excited. So, like I said, bullying has become a serious menace in our society. And we are the good kids with what we are doing. We want to restore good values and morals in children. That's our objective. And for us to do that, part of the way we want to address that or want to handle that is that we continuously, on a monthly basis, organize monthly webinars where we train parents, on certain key things that they need to know about how to raise their children right. And that exactly is what we're doing today. That's why we're addressing this topic of bullying. So yeah, navigating bullying, a holistic approach from a multidisciplinary expert panel. Like Omo said, we have the honor to have some veterans in the room. To be honest, I'm very honored. I'm very excited. We have Mrs. Edna Obaze. Ma'am, we're so grateful that you chose to honor us with your presence. I mean, it's not easy. We know you're a very busy woman, very occupied, but you decided to, carve out a little time from your very busy schedule to come and be with us today. We are so glad. Thank you so much. Thank you. We can't hear you, ma'am. You're muted.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here.
Excited.
I'm
We're
happy to be
excited.
here.
We heard you. We heard you. You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, 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 yes. Mr. Taiwo, thank you so much. We can't see your face yet. We are looking forward to seeing your face. I know you said maybe you have something you're trying to tidy up right now, but we're looking forward to seeing your face. I mean, with all of the work that you've done in the family system, we are so grateful that you chose to honor us today. Thank you so much for carving out a little time to be with us and to impact parents today. And I know that's part of your life objectives, to impact the parent system or the family system, as well as the African child. Thank you so much for the honor. We are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for having me. It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you. Yes. Mrs. Adama, thank you so much, ma'am. I know you're a little bit under the weather, but you were still able to come here today. Thank you so much. I hope we don't stress you so much today with so many questions. But we are so grateful. Thank you so much for the honor. We are super, super grateful. Thank you.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Mrs. Fumi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think you were I think you were the first person to log in today. Thank you so much. In fact, you logged in I think you logged in like 10 minutes before the time. Thank you so, so much. We are so grateful. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to have you. And I am very certain that every parent here today, every teacher, every school owner would leave here not the same way they came. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So right now we're going to go straight into our topic for today. Like we said, we're handling navigating bullying, and we want to look at it from a holistic approach. We don't just want to talk about bullying, from just one aspect. We want to look at it from the perspective of a child coach. We want to look at it from the perspective of a school owner. We want to look at it from a perspective of a child protection lawyer. And all of this is aimed at one purpose: equipping the parent and empowering the parent to have enough information, enough training to be able to raise their child properly, not to fall victim of bullying, or even if they want, if there's a reason in their environment where they have a bully, they can in case they fall victim, what do they do? So the parents know what to do in case where they fall victim. And then if you're in curbing this menace called bullying. So I hope that our parents in the house and our teachers, we are all ready for this impactful session. We have a pen and our papers or jotters, to take a lot of notes and get back to our families, right? Okay, so at this point, I'm going to kick off immediately. I would like to call Mrs. Fumi. We would like to start with you. Could you please talk to us about what really is bullying? What is bullying? And then what is the this we can get at? I know we all know what bullying is, but let's hear from you about what bullying is from a child coach perspective. What is bullying? What is the makeup of children who can be bullied and those who can't be bullied? And then how can parents raise their children not to be bullyable? Yeah. So Mrs. Fumi, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you so very much. Thank you. Okay, so what really is bullying? Because we always hear about bullying. This one bullied me, this one bullied me. So please listen carefully because I'll be using some terminologies that will let you know that this is bullying, So bullying is an aggressive, it is a repeated aggressive behavior that is characterized by an imbalance of power with the intent to cause harm. So it's a repeated aggressive behavior. It is not a mistake. It is not, oh, sorry, I didn't know. It is repeated, and it is also characterized by an imbalance of power with an intention. Because the lawyers will tell you that for a crime to happen, there must be the mens rea and the autos rea. That means that there must be an intention and the action must happen at the same time. So bullying has that. It has that intention to create harm. So that is what bullying is. It's persistent. It's something that you just don't do once, you do it again. And it's because you feel that you think you're more powerful than another person. That is why this occurs. And it occurs not just amongst children, but today we'll be talking about children. So it occurs amongst children. And it's because there is at times a power tussle, And also you said, what is the makeup? That's the characteristics of those who are, should I say a word, bullyable? So those people the characteristics of children that you can say is not limited to this. But and before I go on, I must also tell you that bullying could be subtle. So it doesn't necessarily have to be loud. It could be subtle. It could even be a blackmail. But one of the characteristics of those, children that are prone to being bullied is because I could say that those children that are not very assertive, those children that are introverts, those children that are suffering from one form of depression or the other, and most especially those children that lack self-esteem, those children that are not comfortable in their own skin. Do you understand? Those children that maybe they think, oh, I'm too fat, or I'm too big, or somebody is teasing them, or somebody is telling them what they are not. So these children have that tendency to be bullied. And especially those people and for those people who bully, there are people that they feel that they have more, they feel they have more strength or power. But if you look deep down, I'm sure somebody's going to address that too. But if you look deep down, you will realize that those people who tend to bully are those people, they may be suffering from one, disorder or the other. Do you understand? But they just want to shy away from that fact and use it on another person. So these are the characteristics of people who are more prone to being bullied and those who bully. So those people who are more introverted, they get to be bullied, and those people who try to please people pleaser, people that are not so assertive, they get to be bullied most of the time. Thank you. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank
Hello?
you so much, Mrs. Fumi. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. So I think you had a
Okay.
third question there. You said,
Yes,
what is
yes,
bullying?
yes.
The-
What is
the ma-
bullying was the first one, which you've answered. So the
Yeah.
second one is, what is the makeup of children who can be bullied?
Bullied?
A
Yeah. Sorry, your internet connection.
of children, what kind of characteristics do they have, or what kind of people are they?
Yes.
Yeah, people who are bullyable.
Okay, so I think I must have answered your question. Yes. So those
And
are
then those who are not bullyable, who are they? What are they made up of?
Those who are not bullyable are the opposite. Those are the ones that they feel that maybe they're more extroverted. They feel that they can talk. They feel that they are more physically advantaged, as in bigger than their mates, at times. And those people that feel they're very assertive, and those people who, shall I say, can be very arrogant and not empathetic towards so many things. They are the ones that will want to go out there and get to bully other people. But if you check their background, you will realize that there is something they're trying to shy away from, or there is a disorder somewhere that they're trying to also hide. So this is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Fumi. So, I know you said something about those children who are like maybe on the bigger side. Do you think that confident children who have maybe been instilled with a lot of confidence from their homes, are children who can be bullied? Because a lot of parents are here today. What kind of things, what kind of characteristics, or what's the word now? What do we need to do differently as parents to raise our children in such a way that they can't be bullied?
Okay, so
and I know that we're trying to walk towards time a bit, but please feel free to speak a bit more on that so that we can go home with that. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. So for parents, if you notice, the most important thing for parents is most times you have to address the issue. You have to talk to your children. You have to be a body. There's this slogan we have, be a body and not a bully. Do you understand? So you have to open up to your children. You have to allow them to open up to you. You have to also know who your child is and not who you want your child to be. And apart from that, then you have to allow your child or your children confide in you. You have to build up that self-esteem. You have to tell them that you're beautiful the way you are. Anyone who is darker than you is too dark. Anyone who is lighter than you is too light. You are the perfect person God wants you to be. So you have to let them be comfortable in their skin. You have to build their self-esteem. But when in building their self-esteem, you also have to be very careful not to make them arrogant and now become the bully. Also, for parents, you have to supervise your child. You have to know what your child is doing per time. So it's not just when your child goes to school and you're like, how are you today? Fine. How was school? Fine. And it's okay. No. You have to know some other things that happen. They are friends. You have to be able to monitor their friends. You have to let your child talk to you so that you will know what is happening. And you have to let your child know that you cannot easily be shut down. So you give them a voice, you give them a listening ear. And I believe that will really help the child. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Fumi. So confidence, parents, you have to learn to instill confidence in your children. Make them believe in themselves, not to feel less of who they are. And when they have confidence, when they believe in themselves, they're able to speak up for themselves. They're able to stand their ground, irrespective of who is trying to stand against them or who is trying to kind of shush them away or something, so that, they don't get bullied, right? So thank you so much, Mrs. Fumi. I'm just wondering, does Mrs. Edna, you want to chip in something there as regards how to raise children who won't be bullyable? Ma'am, do you have anything to chip in as regards that?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Egwatu. I'm happy
Yes,
to be here. I also just want to greet Barrister Taiwo Akinlami because we've met so many times and he's been to our school so many times. Hello, Mr. Akinlami.
Good to see you, madam. Thank you so much. Good to see
Good
you.
to see you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Well, she has said everything, almost everything. When you go to schools, most of the bullied children are underage children. They do not have self-esteem. They have troublesome or troubled backgrounds, or children from broken homes, children who have suffered various forms of abuse from even their parents. Inadequate parental care, lack of empathy. That's the new thing that I have found out in schools. You find out that children no longer have empathy. They do not have love, and they do not even have emotional intelligence anymore. So these are the areas that we need to build up. Low self-esteem is actually the first thing. Lack of empathy, lack of love. And I don't know why that is going on now, because most of the videos you see also, where you see where children are being bullied, or you see friends bullying, somebody bullying the other person, you see other children laughing and clapping. And in my mind, I keep asking, is it funny? You say, yeah, I don't know what is going on now, that when bad things are happening, when horrible things are happening, some people will just be laughing, and the next thing is they just hold their phone and they start taking pictures. So it's a whole lot of things altogether.
Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. Edna. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I mean, from a school perspective and what you've seen, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, lack of empathy is actually a major concern. So it's not even, it's beyond just you not even being the person, you being in the place where someone else is being bullied and not even saying anything about it and not even caring, like having any sort of conscience to say, this child is being beat up or this person is being beat up, and you're busy making videos and all of that. It goes to show how we've lost it in this generation. And I thank God our parents are here today. You know, we need to start finding a way to teach our children empathy. You know, we need to teach them empathy. And it starts from us parents. How do we display empathy? You know, because if you don't display it, how are they going to learn about it? You know, so this is really a major cause of worry. And thank God we're here today. And that's why we're treating that. Okay, so let me not take so much time on that question. We'll move to the next question. Mrs. Fumi, we're still going to get back to you on this. So we'd like to know, what are the set of characters and traits that build up to a child becoming a bully? I think we've spoken on this, and we've spoken about what parents should do differently, right? Okay, yeah, so we've spoken on this. Let me not go back to that. Okay, let's go to Mrs. Adama. Mrs. Adama, what is the major cause of bullying amongst students? Now, from a school perspective, as the founder and executive director of Plurera International Schools, I know you've seen a lot of all sorts in terms of bullying and all of that. So what would you say, ma'am, is the major cause of bullying in the school amongst students? Over to you, ma'am. Hello, Mrs. Adama, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Just
great.
trying to unmute myself. Thank you very much. I mean, we've heard from two different professionals and they've spoken well. Yes. Bullying has become very common. I mean, it didn't start today, but it looks like it's on the rise. It's like the first speaker said, it is aggressive. There's an imbalance of power, and it's usually between a bully and the bullied. So, first of all, I want to say that bullying is less of a reflection of the victim's character. It's less of it. Yes, there is something about the victim there, but it's less of it, but it's rather a sign of the bully's lack of character. the person that is bullying also needs help. So the person that is being bullied, first of all, feels inadequate and is trying to use this bullying, could be trying to use bullying as a coping mechanism. So again, the person that is bullying may have been bullied in time past, and this might just be the only way the bully knows to relate with people. Children that come from, when we talk about parenting styles, some children come from highly authoritarian families. So they tend to use that on everybody else. A lot of people see them as powerful, but somehow some of them crave for attention they didn't receive from home. Again, when parents or adults model aggressive behaviors, the children around them become bullies. A parent is driving and something happens between the parent and an adult, and the parent just says the harshest of things, makes a very harsh comment or a rude comment to the other person. The children are listening. Family conflict. I remember a child who once was crying in the school, and when she was asked, she said the parents fought the night before and the mom broke a bottle. She was traumatized and she was crying in the school. So it's rubbing off on the child. Then we talk about peer influence. Even being a bystander to a bullying situation can actually influence another child. The child thinks, oh, this is what I would do when next I see somebody who is not as strong as I am. There could be lack of teacher intervention. A child could be bullied and the teacher says, it's okay, sorry, go and sit down. Don't worry, I'll look into it, and the teacher doesn't look into it. Then the school climate, yeah, when there are no policies and trainings for the staff, bullying can continue. And we've talked about personality traits for both the bully and the bullied. Yes, the bullied is vulnerable because most times they lack self-esteem. Like the previous speaker said, they come from homes where they are not loved. Sometimes they live with people who are carers who are not their parents. So because of the way they've been treated, they already have a low self-esteem. I give you this example. My child went to a school and someone said to him, "You're very dark. You're different and you're very dark." So when he got home, he asked me, he said, my classmate said this to me. And I said to him, when you go back the next day, tell him that you are African and Africans are dark and that people look like their parents. And tell the child that if he came to Africa, he would also be different. So, he went back to school the next day and said that, and that was the end of it. I'm not different. I look like my parents. So it's just, and then social media influence, like a previous speaker said, TikTok, different things, people are sending pictures of bullies and their victims, and people are laughing and saying all manner of things. So children think it is the right way to do things. Then we talk about cultural norms. I mean, that's maybe not very, very common, but it is there, where in some cultures, certain gender are second class or third class or treated as not very, not recognized. So like where I come from, I mean, the boy should speak, the girl should keep quiet, boy speaks first and all of that. So gender biases here and there. So some cultures as well are part of the causes of bullying. So I think I've mentioned a good number of the causes of bullying. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Parenting influence, bystanders to being a bystander to bullying, cultural biases, gender biases, and all of that. Definitely causes of part of the things that cause bullying. Mrs. Edna, do you want to chip in now from a school perspective? What do you think causes bullying in schools?
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. Jealousy. There is jealousy in the school system. You have high flyers, you have low flyers. You find out that sometimes the low flyers, because they do not have any other thing to show, they tend to want to bully the high flyers. And most times the high flyers are very calm children because they are very dedicated to their work.
To learning, into school, yeah.
I just find the low flyer coming up to picking up on other things that that child does not have. Maybe you are so short, you are not beautiful, or there's a particular child that I don't know, he was a bit smallish, and that was just his problem. And every other person, but he was very good at his studies. And that was now where they were all hammering on, oh, you are so short, you are not big. And before you know it, he started losing his self-confidence and all that. So jealousy is one of them. Then apart from that, you have, as we have said, children who are from bullied homes. Some daddies are bullying mommies. So some of these children grew up in that kind of environment. So a fruit does, how do they say it? Is it what does not fall?
A fruit does not fall far from the tree.
So you find children, they will definitely come and model whatever they see at home. Then you also find the issue of class differentiation. You know, some children just feel that they are from this rich home, you are classless. You know, they have all sorts of names they call this. You are not fresh, you know, and they just feel that if you are not fresh, that you are not up to the standard.
You're not, you're not in our class.
You are not in our class. And, you know, so all these things are things that stem from what children have learned, or what parents or what the home has put into them. That is why when you lack empathy, you lack love, then you don't see anything good in any other person. You just feel that anybody that is not up to your standard is lower than you, you know. So it's a whole lot of things altogether.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma'am. So from what we just discussed now, it means that parents here who probably have high flyers in their homes, their children are high flyers, they are very smart, and they're probably not the outspoken ones or maybe the extroverts. They are the likely targets of bullies. Yeah. They are the likely targets of bullies. And also children who are maybe probably not, you know, in terms of class segregation, they are probably
Well, she's off. Okay.
Yes. Okay, she's off. Just a minute. She's still on the call. I think it's just a network issue.
Okay, ma'am. Can you hear me now? Apologies, my network threw me out.
It's fine, we can.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
hear you, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So sorry, my network threw me out. So I was saying, what advice do you have for such parents? How do they begin to build up their children, to not fall victim. Hence, their children will likely be targets for these bullies.
Is that for me?
Yes, ma'am, that's for you.
Parents need, first of all, to be very close to their children. Very, very close to their children. You must know what you must know what your child is doing. You must know the friends of your children. You must be part of everyday life of your child. Your child should be free to come close to you, to say things to you. Bad, good, ugly. The problem we have is because most times because of the way we were brought up, you don't want to hear negative things. And when you hear that, you start shouting. And for the children of this day, you don't need to do that. You must be ready to hear the good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay.
Able to maintain your sanity. A parent needs to take proactive steps in making sure that your child grows up to have self-esteem. And how do you build this self-esteem? Is the support that you have, that home support from the beginning, that affirmation that you are good, just like the last speaker said, you are good, no matter what you look, no matter who you look like, no, whether you are black, red, blue, whatever, you are good, even if you are not doing well in academic, because that's the other area that we put children down, because everything about parents is about academic work. And life is not just about academic. Morals, character building is very, very important. So when you bring down your child because the child did not do well in school, that is one way of bringing down making your child have very low self-esteem. If your child does well or did not do well, you must applaud the child for even trying at all. You can go as far as possible praising, then you can, this area, but most times outrightly you just condemn the child. So that condemnation always starts from the parent. I've had many students that you ask questions, they will tell you, I know I'm not good enough. My father already said I'm not good enough.
Wow.
Or my mom
wow.
is not good enough. And that
Wow.
goes on. They also tell you, my mother told me, why are you so bad? But your sisters or your brothers, when they were in school, they were high flyers. Why are you not doing so well? So all this is they bring down the morale of a child. Is something that parents need to be very, very careful of, to make sure that they help a child to build a self-esteem. And like I said, it's in every way. When you go out with your child, you make sure that your child is mingling well. You make sure that your child is doing exactly what others are doing, reaffirming that is good enough whichever way he or she has found herself.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Obaze. Parents, we need to tone down on the condemnation. You condemn your child a lot, it begins to affect their psyche, it begins to affect their self-esteem. And that's exactly how they are going to take it over, or feel when someone else is trying to bully them. They feel it's okay. So I hope we took note of that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Obaze. Now, Mrs. Adama, let's get to you, please, ma'am. Do you think that the schools alone are responsible for breeding bullies? Do you think that bullies, are breeded only in schools? When you see bullies, where is it stemming from? Is it just the schools that made them bullies? Please speak to us on that, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. Sorry, I needed to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, a minute. Yeah. Okay. Schools play a significant role in shaping children's behavior, we agree. But the child at birth didn't arrive at school. The child was born into a home and taken to a school after some time. But schools are not solely responsible for bullying bullies, like I said. The development of bullying behavior is multifaceted and influenced by various factors. family environment, like I said earlier, parenting styles. Are you just permissive? Are you authoritarian? There has to be a balance that creates a child who is confident and who does not enjoy inflicting pain on another person.
Other people.
So the family is involved as well. It's even the first point of call. Like domestic violence we talked about, if parents have been fighting, the child will learn that from home. Parents are fighting, the child is crying. I remember a particular family where the parents were fighting. The lady told me that her children ran into corners. One of them ran behind a door and slept there. They were looking for her. They couldn't find her. She was afraid. Till the next morning, they were looking for her. They panicked. They were looking for her. They knew she didn't leave the house. It was behind a door she hid and slept. Then lack of parental involvement. The child, you think the child is disturbing you. You're very busy. You give the child a phone. Say, go and read your books, go and watch TV. Okay, take your laptop, take your tab. You're not involved in the child's life. So that is where parents are getting it wrong. Then let's talk about the school. We are not free from it completely. The school climate, a school environment that does not promote respect, inclusivity, and has inconsistent discipline can foster bullying. Yeah. Then teachers and staff members who fail to recognize or intervene in bullying incidents contribute to an atmosphere where bullying can thrive. The teacher should be observant. The teacher should notice the first sign of bullying and it should be addressed. Then we talk about peer dynamic. Schools are social microcosms where peer pressure and the desire for social status can drive bullying behaviors. So a school contributes, but not even the first and not the only place where people
Bullies are breeded.
to become. Yes. Then we've talked about societal influence. We've talked about people recording scenes of bullying and laughing, cheering. Sometimes the people are doing this and children are watching. We've talked about societal norms that condone aggression or stigmatization to certain groups. This can influence children to bully. Media influence, media that glorifies violence and aggression and desensitizes children. They make bullying look acceptable. So these children land on earth and all they see is mommy bullying house help, mommy bullying daddy or daddy bullying mommy, bullying the security guard. Everybody is just bullying the next person.
Bullying each other.
And then when these things happen, parents are quick to come to the school to say, this child learned this thing from the school. My child learned this from the school. Yeah, so even individual traits. Some children have personality traits that make them more prone to bullying, such as desire for dominance or a lack of empathy. This child that if another person, it's even as simple as somebody answers a question in class and the person doesn't get it right. Some children actually make comments like, whoa, and if the next person answers a question, some of them actually cry. So these are very subtle signs that this child is already having trouble, with himself. And then previous experiences, children who have been victims of bullying may bully others, like I said, as coping mechanism. So is your child lonely? You might just look into it, find out what is going on there. I've also said teachers need to play the role of identifying and addressing bullying incidents. So it's just, everybody is involved. Everybody is involved. And I want to mention here that child who is bullying is not the devil. The child is as helpless as the victim. As much as they look powerful, the bully needs help. So we also need to be very, very strategic in trying to manage it. Otherwise, the adult might become the bigger bully. So
Wow.
yeah, everybody,
Mrs. Alex,
all hands on deck. Yeah.
I think you made a whole lot of points. Otherwise the adults might become the bigger bully. I think that's food for thought, you know. Like you said, from what you've said, bullying is not, it doesn't start from schools. It starts actually from the home. The parents, we parents are the ones, you know, that it starts from. It starts from our house. It starts from our home. So if we don't do our own bits, we shouldn't pass the blame to schools, because what I see today happen is that most times, because the school is probably a place where, you know, they have the opportunity to explore and act out all they have soaked in. So it looks as if it's in the school that all of the bullying activities happen, right? Because anyway, that's where they are most of the time. And that's probably where they have, or where they see people who are bullyable, right? Because in the home, they are not, they probably might not be able to bully their sister. Of course, they can't bully their parents. So you see someone who you can bully, you see your peers, your colleagues, and then you decide to act it out right there. So parents, like she said, we are first and foremost responsible for our children. So I want to believe that we took note of that. Well, Mrs. Alex, there's something that you said that got to me, because that was actually part of the question I was going to ask you. You spoke about the part that teachers play, or the school play, most importantly, the teachers actually, because the teachers are in the school, right? In terms of bullying. So when the bullying activity is happening, what role should teachers play in this case? Because I've seen time and time again where teachers do not play their role, and those things escalate and they get worse. And then that's where we now start hearing of children who probably died in the school, because that has probably happened time and time again, and the teachers are aware and they do nothing about it, or they just talk and that it ends there. So what role do teachers have to play in this bullying situation? If bullying happens in schools, happens in a school, for example, what should a teacher do if that teacher is told about the bullying situation? What's their own role? How do they play a role such that that does not continue to happen? Yeah, please take the floor, please, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, please. I want to look at it in two ways: anti-bullying and bullying prevention. You know, anti-bullying looks like you address the behavior and you say zero tolerance to bullying. But then, I mean, you punish the bully. You try to treat the cases as they occur. But then I think it is better to prevent bullying. Yes, look at the causes of bullying, teaching kindness, empathy, respect, emotional regulation, and communication skills. The teachers, the school should make sure this is part of what the children learn at school. It shouldn't be a paperwork only. It should be demonstrated. The child should watch the teacher behave same way towards a child, towards the next adult. The child should watch the head of school not behave, nicely to the subordinates. So it becomes an environment where all the child sees is appropriate behavior. So that's the first thing.
Modeling.
So if we do, yes, model it. If we do this, we will have less of trying to pacify the victim, trying to punish the bully, because from the beginning, everybody is behaving right. So the school also needs to work hand in hand with the parents. When there is any sign of bullying or being bullied, the school should also get the parents involved. You don't wait until something very big happens and then the parents come and you say, that was, yes, the other day he did this, the other day he did that. You need to work with the parents so that if it is something new, you will know. If it is something that has been happening from home, something can be done to ensure that this happens. Then the school shouldn't think that the teachers know what to do. They need to be taught safeguarding, how to maybe report to maybe the designated safeguarding lead of the school. The children should be taught how to report to a trusted adult. And then this adult needs to make the children know that they are going to take the matter seriously. They need to listen and make sure, promise the child you do something about it and do something about it. Try to investigate.
So when you say do something about it, something like what?
First of all, you need to investigate what the child, listen to the child's account, then investigate what the child has mentioned. Then you need to reassure this child. All that the bully has said to the child, you need to reassure the child that these are not you. They don't describe you. And then you need to do something about the bully. Like I said, it's not about flogging the bully because something is bigger than what, it is larger than what the bully has just done. Is welling from the inside. It needs to be, if there's counseling that can be done, both for the bullied and the bully, it can be done depending on the extent. And then you can also teach some kids, there are things that we tell kids that there are times when you walk away, someone says something to you, you can respond, you can also decide but if you're unable to ignore it, if it is getting to you to the point where you cannot ignore it, talk to a trusted adult. But at every point in time, this trusted adult should reassure the child and do something about it. Usually there is someone to report to if it comes to that, and then you take it from there. If you need to bring the parents of the two children involved, let them come in. I also think it is wrong for a school to try to tell kids, don't tell your parents. Where I work, we tell them to tell their parents because that might be what will save a worse situation. Something just happened in school, the child didn't tell you because they don't trust you enough. It is okay if they don't trust you enough. Maybe they are new, or for some previous things that happened in the past, they really don't trust you and they want to go home and say it. Let them go home and say it. When you get this information from home, you're able, trust me, parents are not able to overlook such. They will call you, they will let you know. Then you take it from there. Otherwise, something worse might happen the next day. So we have enjoyed feedback from parents, but you know that sometimes children go home and they exaggerate. It's fine. It's a sign that something actually happened. When they come, there are witnesses, you investigate, and then you're able to tell exactly what happened, and then you handle it. So schools should train teachers on how to do this. We talk about the ABC in my school. We talk about the antecedents, the behavior, and the consequences. Oh, someone slapped me. Do some investigation. You'll be able to find what led to it. Was it really a slap? Were they playing? Like the first speaker said, is intentional. The intention is to inflict harm. There is an imbalance of power. Yeah, is it a misunderstanding of what this person did? I heard of a situation where someone reported that a child bullied a SEN kid. Upon investigation, the child didn't bully the SEN kid. The child was playing with this SEN kid, just enjoyed making the SEN kid happy, and they, was chasing after the SEN kid, and the child fell. So other kids came and pounced on the child, and all they concluded was that he was chasing after the SEN kid to harm. Upon investigation, it was discovered that this child was about the only person who made out time to even be with this SEN kid. So this SEN kid became very comfortable around this other child. So the teachers should be trained on how to carry out such investigations.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Alex. Thank you so much. I think I'm still going to get back to you, Mrs. Edna, on this same topic. But before I do that, I would like to hear from Mr. Taiwo, our child protection lawyer. Sir, I would like to know, what would you advise a parent to do if their child is bullied in school, right? First of all, what does the Nigerian Constitution even say about bullying? What does the Nigerian Constitution say about bullying, right? What does the Nigerian law state about bullying and its consequences? And then what would you advise a parent to do in such a case where
I can't hear Mr. Taiwo. Am I the only one?
It's muted.
Yes,
I'm really waiting for his answer.
Well,
Mr. Taiwo, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
fantastic. Great. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I want to commend every speaker that has spoken before me, and I want to thank you for contributions that you have made, opening our minds concerning these issues. I have some foundations to lay before I talk about law, if I'm ever able to get there.
Yes, please, go ahead, sir.
Because for me, the law is not the most important thing. The laws don't enforce themselves. People enforce laws. And once the human beings that is going to enforce the law has a wrong understanding as to what the law is all about, then the law is going to be useless. Law is made for man, not man for the law. And that principle, ageless principle, is still true to today. The most important thing is that law also emanates from people. So I want to do some house clearing before I make my comments. House clearing to the extent of language, and that's without prejudice to every contribution that has been made today. Wonderful, fantastic. I've learned a lot listening to all of our panelists. We've done extensive work with Mrs. Obaze. We've been to our school. We've spoken at the graduation. We've done a whole lot. And we commend the great work that she's doing in Lagos. She's running a school in Lagos and in Ogun State. I mean, dealing with two regulatory bodies is not easy. And so for every other person that has spoken
and has today, almost 10 schools under her purview.
Yes. So the first thing I want to say is that we need to mind our language. There's no such thing as the bully, and there's no such thing as the bullied. Even if you see somebody, now I speak to that from two angles. The first angle is the fact that everybody who has been found to be doing something is an allegation. The only institution that can declare a child a bully is a court of law, right? And most of these cases never get to the court of law, because even if you see a child beating another, you call it bullying. By the time they get to the court, all of those things will be discussed. You need to bring proof. It might be in self-defense. Now, you saw a video in Abuja that a child was the one bullying another child. You conclude that that child bullying another child is the guilty party, right? But you don't know where they started filming from. You don't know whether they were first fighting, then thereafter, at the time they started, nobody was filming it. And by the time the other child began to retaliate, somebody began to film it. So I don't make comments on such things because I'm not aware of the circumstances surrounding
the antecedents.
So the first thing I need to point out is that the child who bullies another child is dealing with a major issue, is dealing with insecurity. It takes a whole lot of insecurity. Now, insecurity comes from low self-esteem. Low self-esteem comes from abuse from home, how a child is treated. We are mirrors through which children see themselves. The way we address our children, the way we talk to our children, help them to form who they are, who they think they are. So when a child comes from a home, an abusive home, physically abused, emotionally abused, sexually abused, and neglected, coupled with the fact that the parents also are dealing with their own issues, you find that that kind of child is dealing with low self-esteem. From low self-esteem, the child is dealing with insecurity. So the child now thinks that the only way he or she can feel important is to demonstrate raw power, either through physical bullying, emotional bullying, or through pack bullying. I mean, joining other people to bully someone, right? That is the foundation. And the truth of the matter is that for us to get out of that wood, we must ask ourselves the question, how did our children become the kind of children they are today? The truth of the matter is that we must accept that a society deserves the kind of children they raise. All these children, they are a reflection of who we are. This, like Mrs. Obazi said, a fruit does not fall far from the tree. All the things you are seeing our children today, they are amplifying who we are. You know, because our children are either beneficiaries or victims of our examples. Everything we don't like in our children today, we're the one who put it there. And the only way we can remove it is not by beating them, it's not by slapping them, it's not by asking them to tender a public apology, it's not by handing them over to the police. The only way we can solve the problem is to begin to reorientate ourselves and begin to ask ourselves the critical question, what kind of seed are we sowing into our children? We are in the 5th industrial revolution, the internet of things. Now, when I was growing up, I was raised by two parents, neighbors, and teachers, and all of that. Today, the people raising our children, they are not even in our area. A lot of times, we don't even know who are dealing with our children. So it is important, therefore, to understand that our children today, they are going through a lot. We first need to accept that. Children are going through a lot. It is a difficult time to be a child. It's a very difficult time to be a child. And so when you see bullying, all of these things happening, it is a mark of the season or the generation in which children are being raised. A generation where everything is available at the push of a button. A generation where you cannot determine what is right again from what is wrong. A generation where children today are wiser and know more than their parents by virtue of what they are exposed to. When we want to deal with such children, it is therefore important that we think ahead. You know, the unfortunate thing is that those who want to destroy our children, they have more strategy. They have more protocol that they are using than those who want to help them. So this is my own conclusion, therefore. Two things we must pay attention to before I talk about what the law says. Now, two things. Number one is that, so when you go to school today, what are we teaching children most of the time? You know, because we are teaching children, so the purpose of a school is for two reasons: learning outcome and behavioral outcome. Those two, learning outcome and behavioral outcome. The same thing at home, behavioral outcome, learning outcome. So the question is, what is the percentage of effort that goes into learning outcome? 90%, 99%. What is the percentage of effort that goes into behavioral outcome?
Behavioral outcome.
Very little percent. So when we want to advertise a school, how do we advertise a school? It did well in maths. It did well in WAEC. It did well in JAM. It did well in this. Now, so the focus is on learning outcome.
Learning outcome.
And when we focus on learning outcome, it's garbage in, garbage out. You are going to, whatever you sow, you are going to reap. The focus a lot of times is on learning outcome. Good in maths, good in English. You know what Harvard University has told us? Harvard University has said, and it's a research open online, go and check it out, that 80% that 80% of success in life and in the workplace is determined by behavioral outcome, is determined by our behavior. That is what Harvard University has said. Only 20% is determined by technical skill. So there's what we call soft skill, and there's what we call hard skill. Hard skill is knowledge of maths. knowledge of English, knowledge of all of these things. Soft skill is kindness, tenderness, gentleness, negotiating power, staying power, grit, G-R-I-T. Now, this is the soft part of life. Jack Ma has now said that in the year 2031, very close now, 800 million jobs are going to be taken by machine. So it therefore means that when we are raising children and our focus is on maths, English, geography, all of these things, we are missing it. So when our children are not doing well in maths, they are not doing well in English, we get a lesson teacher to come and teach them maths, come and teach them English. But when they are not greeting, we shout through it. My friend, can't you greet? That a person is greeting other people is a social skill. That a child sees an elder or sees a fellow child and does not greet that child or adult is a social skill. It's not something you shout through. It's something you teach. So the problem, therefore, is that what is the percentage of school curriculum that goes into that 80%? So what do we find today? We find 90% of our investment as schools and as parents chasing what is only responsible for only 20%. And we have no budget for what is responsible for 80%. Now, let me conclude by saying there's a man called Ziziglar. Ziziglar has now said, he's late now. He said, in all his experience in life, working with Fortune 500 companies, that the greatest people who make a difference in this world are people with great civility and deportment. Not the best in math, not the best in English. There are many best in math, best in English that are nowhere in life because they think what makes a difference is their ability to know math, to know English, to do all of that. But empathy, being able to show kindness. But the truth of the matter is that where are we teaching it? So a few years ago, we designed a program, a 13-week program. And we told schools, we said, look, bullying will not be solved by beating children. Bullying will not be solved by handing them over to the police. Bullying is a problem. A problem has a root. If you want to solve a problem, you want to remove a tree from the house, you cut the leaves, you uproot it. You don't even cut it in the half because it can still grow again. You uproot it completely. How do you uproot? The way to change behavior, the way to model or change behavior is to exemplify it and to teach it. The abundance of your teaching is going to reflect in the way our children behave. So we told schools many years ago, we said, look, you cannot be putting bullying is under rules and regulation. I said, rules and regulation has never worked anywhere. Doesn't work. Rules and regulation only works when it is backed with rigorous teaching. Because inherent in every man, and everybody speaking today can testify to that, there is a stubbornness in every man. That thing they tell you not to do, now before you didn't have a problem with it, until they come and tell you not to do it. Immediately they tell you not to do it, that's when you want to try it. That is human. The same way it is with adults, how much more children? As an adult, you are supposed to know the consequence of your action. How many times have you not been told not to pass one way? How many times have you been told, no, don't do this thing this way? You just want to try it. You say you are in a hurry. Something happens. So the same way, rules and regulations don't work in society. People don't depend, government don't depend on rules and regulation to govern society. That's why in Nigeria, though it's moribund, you have national orientation agencies, though they are not doing anything. They are supposed to orientate us. We are not waiting for the law. We are waiting for people to behave right. And so for me, we told schools, we say, you know what? If you are spending 90% on maths, that's why they are doing well in maths. What percentage are you spending on soft skill, on behavioral skill, on kindness? And that is coupled with the fact that some of the teachers who are teaching these children, they are also dealing with their own issues because you can't give what you don't have. It's garbage in, garbage out. A teacher is teaching in a school, the parents are paying 5 figures, the teacher herself does not know where the next meal is coming from. Teachers are teaching in schools where they can't register their children. Their children cannot smell the school. You think the child is going to be happy that he's in a school where he's teaching other children and his children or our children cannot come to the school? I don't want the child to feel. The child is already dealing with disequilibrium, social disequilibrium. He's already seen those children as poor children who are just, who she's serving. Are you getting it? So when you put all of these dynamics together, you find an environment that is not conducive. What the environment is going to produce is tensed teachers. They're going to produce tensed children. And when the matter gets to a head, we still come back to the children. Please give these children a break. Don't call them bullies. Don't call them the bullied. Don't call them victims. Victims further stigmatizes children. Let us come back to ourselves as a society. These children, nobody was born to be bullied. Nobody in this world was born and he came to this world with his skill to bully, to punch, to do all of that. Nobody was born. These children who you are calling bullies and all of that, they were tender, they were born, they were crying, they were asking for help. They began to crawl at a time. They began to walk. They were looking for expression. They were looking for example. They were looking for instruction. They were looking to be guided, and we missed it. And when we missed it, we have the kind of children we have today. Unfortunately, we don't address ourselves. When we want to talk about bullying, now we address the children. The problem is not with the children. And let me go to what schools should do. Now, so let me finish that part. We developed that program, a 13-week program, where we break it down, teach these children these things. When children by themselves understand who they are, they understand who they are, they know what cannot emanate from them. The milk of compassion only flows from the heart of those who are secured in themselves. You cannot be humble until you know who you are. Anybody who tells you he's humble, who does not know who he is, the power that he has, is just a jelly. It's just somebody who's afraid. For you to say somebody is humble, the person must know that I have power, I can do, I can
under
undo,
control.
But I'm putting that power under subjection because the purpose of my power is not to oppress, is to help, is to support. In Lagos State, we're working with Lagos State government to teach something we call positive masculinity. In positive masculinity, we are teaching those children. Do you imagine my first day in class with the Lagos State government, Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Agency? My first day in class, I asked those children, because we're talking about domestic violence. And I said, guys, what do you think about gender? And the boys told me, in Lagos, not in Kafanchan, not in the bush, in Ikeja, Lagos, not in Tabon, not in Ologuro, not in Yonforogi, in Ikeja. They told me, well, as a boy, I'm superior to the girls. I said, how did you say? Because my dad is superior. Okay. I said, okay, your principal now is a woman. I said, yes. You are a boy. I said, yes. So as she is now, you are more. He said, yeah, I'm superior, sir. I'm a man. I began to walk back these children. I began to let them understand. Those are children in school, secondary school in Ikeja. I began to walk them back to say, look, the purpose of strength is to protect, not to destroy, not to mess things up. That is the mentality we have. We do that program with the Lagos State government every year. And we work with children, hundreds of children, to begin to understand who they are. So for me, you cannot solve this problem by conversations. This kind of conversations can only sensitize us. What is going to happen if we want to have an holistic approach is to ask ourselves, what's our budget for maths, teaching maths, if we want to solve this problem? And what is our budget for teaching morals? We can't dedicate only one day in the week, every Wednesday. That's the extramural day. Do we dedicate one day for maths? That's why they are doing well in maths. That's why they are doing well in English. That's why they are doing well in geography. Because that is where the investment is. That's why parents also, when a child is not doing well in maths, they will get 3 extra teachers. Even the school says, don't come and take our teacher here to teach anything. They will still go behind. They will still talk to the teacher. The teacher will still go and teach behind. But when it comes to morals, what do we do? So what do schools do? Schools must critically take a look at their curriculum. We must accept that these children are products of our environment. They are victims. If we call them victims, they are victims of our example. And at the end of the day, these bullying things that we are talking about is not going to ease off if we continue like this, because for a problem to be solved, this is a drastic problem. For a drastic problem to be solved, society cannot be thinking the same way. It's the same way we are talking about good touch, bad touch, when we are talking to children about sexuality education, something that is archaic, something that has never worked. What do you mean by good touch, bad touch? There's no such thing as good or bad touch, because every part of the child is private. Nobody has the right to touch it except for providing care and conscious affection. But this idea of good butter touch, I also send many children on errand. So let me conclude this way. So if a school is going to respond, a school must have a child safeguarding and protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. a child safeguarding and protection. There's nowhere in the world, even in UAE, that you can run a school without an established child safeguarding and protection. So responses are not subject to the whims and caprices of teachers. They are subject to systems. If a child is bullied, we do 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not subject to what the teacher thinks, what an adult thinks. That adult is already trained on how to get that, or what he needs to do. The children are already trained on the reporting system. The adult knows the reporting system. There is a child safeguarding officer in the school who takes responsibility for reporting. And when these matters are reported, they know what to do. Now note, my client lived in the UK, and I'll conclude with that story, very critical. My client lived in the UK, and my client decided to relocate to Nigeria. And she came to Nigeria and registered, and she asked, what school can I register my child? And they mounted one of these big schools, and she took her child to that school, 2 children actually, and took one boy, one girl, took them to the school. Then one day they called her, please come and take your child. Your child is misbehaving. It's like and the boy was in body. The boy, we don't know how he's doing. So the woman said, you know what, don't tell my child I'm around. I'm going to come around and observe my child. And when I see what this thing you say my child is doing, I think I will have an idea what is happening. So the woman came to school and saw the child. The child would just stay in one place and be jerking, and be jerking, and be shaking, and be. The woman was looking at the child. The man told the housemaster, I said, this is not drugs. This is not anything. My child is dealing with post-traumatic disorder. There's something wrong with him. Say, you know what? I'm taking my child away. The woman took her child and flew the child to the United Kingdom. And it was in the course of seeing psychotherapists, they were seeing child psychologists, that the child told them that he was being sodomized in that school. The child was being sodomized in that school. So the woman flew back to Nigeria. Somebody said, Kota Wakila me, it can help. So the woman called me and said, this is what has happened to my child. As you are talking to me now, after I've dropped this call, I'm calling Linda Ikeji. I'm going to make it public. I said, madam, if you want me to be involved, don't call Linda Ikeji. I don't do sensationalism. When you sensationalize this matter, it also has impact on your son. You know, because your son also is going to be in the public glare. The trauma is going to, you can't deal with the trauma. So what did I do? So I wrote to the school. School, this is what has been alleged happened to your school. And this story is very instructive. That's why I'm telling it. So 7 days, we told them within 7 days respond to us, because if you don't respond to us, we are going to take legal actions against you. 7 days came and went. This school never called us. They never did anything. So out of my own goodwill, my client called me and said, Mr. Clam, in 7 days, so we are filing the papers. We've prepared all our papers. I said, madam, can you do me a favor? Let me call the school. Let me just call them. I don't know them. I've never met them. I don't know them anywhere. Let me just call them. So I put a call through to them. So when I called them, the man said, I said, this is Mr. Taiwo Akinlami with Giga Partners. We sent you a letter. I said, I'm very sorry. We saw the letter. It's just today we want to call you. I said, okay, no problem. It's okay. Are you open to a meeting? Because we are coming for a meeting. So I went to the meeting with my client. They gave us a meeting, I think for the 2nd day or the 3rd day. So we went for the meeting. We got to the meeting. It was only myself and my client that were there. Meanwhile, our client's sons said that he was being sodomized by 2 seniors. So I asked the school, I said, where are the parents of the children that allegedly sodomized our son? And they said, no, we don't want, we are just being careful about it. We don't want to escalate. I said, okay, you don't want to escalate. Have you asked the children? They said, yes, you have asked them. You have gone ahead to ask these children about something as heinous as an allegation of sodomy, and you don't think you should inform their parent. If you say you don't want to escalate and you don't ask the children, it's a different matter. I said, do you know there's no contract between you and these children? The contract that exists is between you and the parents. Things like this cannot be going on. You went to interview the children. If the children now call their parents and say this is what happened, how do you want their parents to feel? Maybe their parents want to get defense for them. Maybe their parents want to get help for them. Maybe their parents want to come into the matter of which parent we hear that they accuse your child of sodomy that will not run down to the school. So you have kept it all this day, since you have received a letter over 7 days. So I said, madam, I said, sir, we cannot have this meeting. You need to write to the parents of these children and bring them to the meeting. So we chose another day, and these parents, and we had another meeting. So in that meeting, they were telling me, this thing did not happen. Mr. Akinlami, we swear it didn't happen, which is the normal thing school do. They will say it didn't happen. I said, okay, madam, we are not even saying whether it happened or not. I want to ask you a few questions. How did you know it did not happen? They said, when the boy first complained that he was going through that, the housemaster asked the boy to come and be sleeping in his own room. I said, so go on, I'm hearing you. They said, okay, secondly, what we did was that we now called these children. Now, when this allegation came, we now asked them, we asked like two. I said, how many people do you have? Over 200 children in boarding school. How many children did you ask? What is the sample size in that? Are you, that your research, you see, what type of research is that? Is it qualitative or quantitative? What is the element? So I told them, I said, look, I want to ask you a question. Do you have a child safeguarding and protection policy here? System, codified into policy. They said, what's that called? We have code of conduct for teachers. Code of conduct for, I said, I'm not talking about code of conduct for teachers. I'm talking about a child safeguarding and protection system codified into policy that sees things end to end from when somebody enters into this school. So when a child is found to have bullied another, so when a teacher is found to have abused a child, what is the protocol? What is the process? Show me the document. They did not have. I said, okay, where's your anti-bullying policy? Can I see it? They don't have. I said, when last did you teach these children sexuality education? When last did you talk to them about morals? Does your policy talk about the kind of, in the policy we work with, it is there, the kind of teaching children must get. They didn't have any of that. I said, so I told all those parents, I said, look, parents, I don't think your children are safe in this school. We don't have anything against you. I'm not only, I told them, I said, I'm not only for this child that has been allegedly sodomized because it's an allegation. It has not been proven. I'm also for your children. If you know what is good for you, you're going to remove your children from this school. I said, then secondly, school, we are done with this meeting. We don't want to have any meeting with you again. They said, why? I said, because you do not have in place the machinery to prevent this thing from happening. So because you do not have the machinery in place to prevent it from happening, it means it might have happened. So our case has changed. We are going to sue you. And when we sue you, our case is that you put children together in the 21st century and you do not have in place a child safeguarding and protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. You don't have anti-bullying policy, not to talk of walking the children through it. You don't have anything. So what you are doing here, you are running a crime scene. You just open children up to attacks when there's no, this place is like a city without wall. So we left and we escalated the matter. And so today, the school in Abuja has been sued for 500 million. And people are asking, why would the school? I said, well, the school better have in place all of the things that the school is supposed to have in place. Because if the school does not have those things in place, it's going to be a mismatch. And so when you receive a rate of 500 million or 1 billion, what do? You go and sleep? Because even if you hire a lawyer, the lawyer will say, go and bring 10% or 1 billion, right? So for me, these are head-to-head issue. The law in Nigeria is very clear. The Child Rights Act is clear, which I cannot go into, as to abuse. And please note, when it comes to abuse, a child who abuses another child is not free in the eye of the law. A child, the age of criminal responsibility in Nigeria is 7 years. The age of criminal responsibility is 7 years. A child who beats another child to death is not free in the eye of the law. That child is called a child in conflict with the law. The child will face the music. If the child is found, unfortunately, the parents might not face the music, but these days, do you know that parents now are being charged along with their children? Because they ask the question, this behavior that your child has exercised now, if you have done what you are supposed to do, the child will not be exercising. In the United States, a developed country, a child went to school and shoot people. Now the child is charged, the parents are charged. And Nigeria is coming to that because the Lagos State government made a law to say that if your child is found in courtesan, you, the parents, are also going to be charged. And people are shouting and saying a whole lot of things. But the truth of the matter is that we need to get serious. Our children today are either beneficiaries of our example or they are affected by our example. So how do you train a child the way you should go? You will go there first and come back and take the child with you. Because when a child is old, he will not depart from how you have raised him. That's why a woman that I respect a lot said, Ellen King, he says, since children spend a significant amount of their childhood in school, It is for this reason, if no other, that school should be warm. School should be warm, caring and nurturing places where children feel supported and they feel protected. She said, indeed, research has shown that when children feel connected to school, they have better learning and behavioral outcome. How do they become connected to school? Because the school because they feel supported, they feel protected. How do they feel supported and protected? Because the school is warm, caring, and nurturing places. And when that happens, what will happen? The children will become connected to school. When they become connected to school, they have better learning and behavioral outcome. That is what must be happening in our homes. That is what must be happening in our school. We must take an holistic look at this problem and look at ourselves. Our children are a reflection of who we are. In the National Assembly, they are fighting there, beating themselves. In Kano State now, there's a crisis. One emir is dethroned. Another one is enthroned. And there's crisis, there's a clash. I don't know how a government is going to get into that kind of crisis, that you want to dethrone an emir, you don't know how to go about it. So there's riot, and you are raising children in this kind of country, in a country where you say, this is how much we sell fuel. People cannot meet it like that. People are killed on the road. In a country where people don't respect traffic, we should move away from all. If we want to be serious, we will look into ourselves and we will see that these children, they are a reflection of who we are. They are a microcosm of the macro situation that we are dealing with. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Barrister Taiwo, thank you so much. You've done a lot of justice. In fact, some of the questions I wanted to ask you, you already touched on them. But because I know you're trying to run, I'm quickly going to ask you one or two more questions, sir. So I know you've touched on anti-bullying policy in schools, how we should, you've spoken a bit on that, where you talked about child safeguarding and protection policy. Beyond that, it has to be broken down into processes. I heard that loud and clear. Now, my question is as regards the people who call the bullies. You say we should not call them bullies anymore. Me too, I'm learning a lot. How can parents support their children's mental health and well-being, for those, okay, let's even look at it from the perspective of those who have been bullied. Those who have been bullied. A child who has been, so that kind of child who you talked about, who was jerking and acting out like that as a result of what he experienced. Yeah, how can parents support their children in that state?
Well, I think the first thing is this. There's prevention, there's cure. So prevention speaks to how we treat our children. I'm 54 years old, raising a 2.5 years old. My son turned 2 years, 7 months yesterday. I had him 15 years after I've gotten married. 1 month to our wedding anniversary, that's where we had him. I had him at 51 and 54 years old, raising a 2.5-year-old boy. And I pay attention to how I speak to him from this age, from when he was in the womb, from when he was born. I pay attention to how I address him. I ask for permission where it is necessary. I know where to instruct. I know where to ask for permission. I want to raise him. Because I suffered a lot of indignity growing up. I lost my virginity at the age of 6. I was beaten mercilessly by my father. The woman who messed me up sexually was the woman who my mother left me with when she went to the market. My teachers beat me. My teachers named me the devil at age 3. Called me Satan because I was playing with my friend. My friend was climbing a tree, and when the boy was coming down, and the branch on which was standing broke and went straight into his stomach, and the boy died. 3 days, they rushed him to the hospital. And my teacher from that day said they should call me Satan. So I grew up, I did not grow up with any esteem. No, low self-esteem. No, it's too high. I grew up with no esteem. When my father wanted to kill me, he would tie my ass, he would tie my leg, he would strip me naked and give me 6 strokes of the cane. He would go and sit down. And that could go on for half a day. And we lived in Face Your apartment in Ado-Ekiti, where everybody made their business except gossip. So I grew up with no esteem. And I became a Christian at the age of 27. And I began to understand, that God, I was made in the image and the likeness of God. And I've been in the laboratory of change since then, working on myself. And so raising a child now, I want to ensure that now I must not spoil that child, but I must also make sure that it does not inherit my problems. And so that is why when people say, you were waiting for a child, I said, we did not wait for a child. We were preparing for a child. The child came at the right time. We were preparing for a child. We didn't wait. We were preparing. There's a kind of person we needed to be for the boy to come. I was telling my colleague in the office, I said, if it were possible, I will create a law where before you begin to have children, you go through some psychosocial analysis. When we finish with you, we say, you can't have children for now. You need to go and wait for another 15 years. You can't have for now. You, 10 years. You, okay, next year with you can try. Psychoanalysis that we bring out who you are, and we say, because if you bring children now, you're going to bring in your errors. You're going to bring in crisis. So my 15 years of waiting was worth it. My wife and I, we have perfected a lot of things. We are now raising this child. It's not easy because also raising a toddler at your old age. My wife is working on a book, raising a toddler in your late 40s. That's what my wife is raising a child now. But the truth of the matter is that I prefer it. I prefer it. So the point is that there is preventive. How do you deal with a child? We don't even know children yet. How do you deal with them? How do you address them? How do you respect children? How do you respect their privacy? How do you do all of these things? People say you are going to spoil children. What does it mean to spoil a child? If you honor a child, you cannot spoil a child through honoring a child. My cousin came to my house to spend holidays, my nephew. And that morning he woke up, he wasn't going to greet anybody. I think he was 10 years old or thereabout. Wasn't going to greet anybody. So I heard my wife saying, Sheyi, you won't greet? And I came there, I said, Sheyi, I didn't even ask him why he wasn't greeting. I said, Sheyi, how are you doing this? I greeted him. Sheyi, how are you? You slept well? He said, yes, I slept well. Daddy T, called me Daddy T. I said, Sheyi, listen, look at this house that we're living in now. It's a 7-bedroom duplex. I said, when you greet me now, is it going to increase? He said, no, Daddy T. I said, that 40 kVA generator will put out there. When you greet me now, is it going to increase to 80 kVA generator? He said, no. I said, okay. Do you know what it means to receive an alert? He said, yes, I know. My daddy do say I receive an alert from the bank. I said, when you greet me now, am I going to receive an alert on my phone of money in my account? He said, no. This room now, 7 rooms, is it going to increase to 14 rooms? He said, no. I said, so, Sheyi, greeting is for you, not for me. Greeting is for you, not for me. When you greet, it's a show of courtesy. When you show courtesy, people want to be nice to you. People want to be good to you. And so in life, when you know how to show courtesy to people, it's a way to be promoted. And I told him a story which I will not allow me to tell now. Sheyi, since that day, so Sheyi is 17 years old now. And so a few weeks ago, I called him. I said, do you remember that conversation we had? Because Sheyi is a changed man. And I'm not saying it's only because of that conversation. It's because of many other conversations. I said, do you remember that conversation we had about? He said, Daddy T, I can never forget. I remember when you gave this illustration, you told me I did not shout on him. I did not beat him. I did not do anything to him. I just felt that Sheyi needed understanding. He needed to know that greeting was for him. Because the way adults are talking about greeting, they talk about it as if they have problem. That is when the child greets them that they're going to become the. If a child does not greet you, greet the child. Now, why is it written that it's the child that must greet you? Greet the child. Hello, hi, good morning. Why must it be the child that should greet? I mean, where is it written? What does it mean that if a child does not greet you, because the child does not know better, the destiny of the child has been truncated? If a child does not greet, you can greet the child. So preventive. We need to manage how we relate with children. And when a child has problem, begin to demonstrate problem, right? We need to, in this part of the world, we don't like to seek professional help. We need to seek professional help. Because when some things are messed up, 2 things must happen. One, we want to change the behavior that created that person, the behavior that the child is showing now. Number 2, we want to seek for professional help. We want to talk to people like Mrs. Fumi, people that are here who are experts in the field to say, excuse me, people are dealing with psychotherapy, psychology and all of that, and say, excuse me, please, my son needs your attention. Right? But you see, the expert is not going to be able to do much because whatever the expert does is going to be truncated if our behavior is still the same. We are still the same. We are still very toxic. We still say things to children that we later regret. We still say things to children. We never apologize to them. And so they are seeing a therapist or they are seeing a professional. They are still going to come back home to meet the same environment that created the problem. It's like fetching water into a basket. It's not going to work. So we have to in finding help for our children, we need to ask ourselves, how did we get here? Retrace our steps. Even in some instances, it is we and the children that must be seen therapists. Because some of us, we have issues we don't know. So Lagos State government has a program for parents, children beyond parental control. So I told them in Lagos State, I said, there's no such thing as children beyond parental control. They said, what do I mean? I said, because these children, they said they are beyond parental control. How did the parents lose control? These children were put into their hand. They were helpless. They were trying, you carry them, you dictated their lives. At a point now, you're not saying they are beyond parental control. The children are not beyond parental control. The parents lost control because they do not have the stamina. They do not have the knowledge. Knowledge is what to do. They do not have skills. Skill is how to do it. They do not have fortitude. Fortitude is the internal inner strength to do what you should know we should do. That is why I say, so Lagos State, stop terrorizing children, putting them in one place to say they are beyond parental control. If you get a hostel for them, get a hostel for the parents also. The parents and the children, they must be in the hostel. I don't care what he says he's doing. He's a bank manager. He's a chieftain somewhere. He come and live in this hostel. If you cannot, we can't be addressing the problem without addressing the source of the problem. Where I come from. When you are begging the herbalist, you are not begging the person who has lost his mind. It's not going to work that way. So if we are going to go forward, it is important that we look into ourselves. Let me tell you a story. Mahatma Gandhi is a popular story. Check it online. Mahatma Gandhi sent his son with his car to his mechanics. And when Gandhi thought they should have finished fixing the car, Gandhi called the mechanic. You know, in those days, there's no cell phone, land phone. And mechanic said, Mr. Gandhi, your son had already left with your car. So Gandhi was expecting his son to come home. Then many hours passed. Gandhi's son never came home. So after a while, Gandhi stepped out and began to walk. Through the path that the son was going to drive to, I was saying, well, I hope I can see him, because Gandhi was already concerned. And as Gandhi was walking, walked a long mile before he saw the son coming. As when the son came, he said, my son, where have you been? The son said, I've been with the mechanic. Gandhi said, no, I called the mechanic many hours ago, and the mechanic said, you have left since. So the son, did not know what to say. So where were you? He now told the son that, he now told the father that maybe he went to see a movie or something. Then Gandhi said, son, go home. Then the son said, Daddy, come into the car. Gandhi said, I'm not coming into the car. He said, Daddy, you're angry with me. I'm sorry. He said, no, you don't need to be sorry. The problem is not with you. I'm walking home now, and I'm going to be asking myself the question, how I raised a son that cannot look at me straight in the eye and told me where he was. How I raised a son with this kind of value that you can look at your father and lie to me. So, son, you are not the problem. Honestly, I have nothing against you. I'm not going to do anything to you. It's not that I'm not going to give you this car tomorrow, but I need to have a conversation with myself. Mahatma Gandhi. How I raised a son who can lie to me. So Gandhi took responsibility. The problem is not with the son. In today's world, there is the reverse. The father will start cursing the son. Will start saying, look at what you have done to me. Your son will do the same to you. The father will never take responsibility. But Gandhi took responsibility. When a school told me, we have raised children in all these years, look at the way they are doing. I said, if a child has been with you for 6 years, it's still malfunctioning. Don't blame the child. Look at your system. Because whether you like it or not, the children spend some percentage of time with you now, and they stay with parents. We can't put the blame of parents. Between parents and children, it is a 70%. The parents will bring 70%. The school will bring 30%. That 30% also counts for something. If we say the 30% is not necessary, let's shut down schools. If school must continue to exist, then schools must take responsibility for some things. That is why there must be a partnership between parents and schools. Any schools that think they can do it alone, it's not going to work. And parents must be made to be responsible. Parents must be part of the effort to deal with these things. PTA meetings must be held, discussing these issues, not from a perspective of rules and regulation, not from the perspective of blaming the children. Oh, are you saying children should not take responsibility? Children will take responsibility that they are taught to take. Children are going to take responsibility that they are taught to take, that they are exemplified to take. That's how it works. Thank you very much.
Wow, 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 wow. I feel like clapping. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. I think it's been such a powerful speech from you. But I feel like there's a part of it you didn't really touch well. I know the need for you to, push it back to the parents as the first place where the child has to be raised properly, right? But we also have cases where in school, or let's take, for example, in the school, where that child has been battered, right? I'm coming back to that same question. And it's not a parent issue. It's probably another child. Of course, it's from maybe the family or from the school, wherever it is from. But in this case, now we're looking at a child who has been battered and bullied terribly. What is the next course of action for that parent to take? The parent whose child has been battered. Sorry, sir?
The parents of the child who has been bullied.
Yes, who has been bullied and battered, yes.
But if a child is bullied and is reported to the parents should approach the school. What happens most of the time is that parents go to the teachers in class. Teachers beg them, please don't tell the school. But parents, the school also must teach parents to say, if anything happens, we are open, we are available here. Parents should approach the school and let the school know that this is what has happened to my child. The school also must show the parents the protocol they have in place for the purpose of investigating that. I hope it is important to note that when a child is bullied in school, it is either the bullying is a crime or a civil infraction. So if it is a crime, the school cannot investigate a crime. The school can only hand over the matter to the police. If it is a civil infraction, the school can deal with a civil infraction. If a child beats another child, that's battery. It can be criminal, it can be civil, depending on whether it led to grievous bodily harm or whatever the impact of that OS episode is. So the school must always be working with people who understand the law, who are able to interpret the law for the school at every point in time. Because what causes problem for the school a lot of times is that recently I'm dealing with a school who a matter is a criminal matter. By virtue of what that child has done to another child is a criminal matter. And the school started investigating it. So they wrote a report where they said, we investigated. So I did for them a four-page legal opinion. And I'm telling them, you can't do what you have done. You can't do what you have done because there's no other body in Nigeria that can investigate a crime except the police or EFCC or NAPTIP, depending on what the crime is. And there's nobody who can adjudicate on a crime in Nigeria except a court of law or a panel that is properly constituted in the eye of the law. So schools a lot of times don't know the difference. So schools have to be able to tell the parents, say, you know what, this is what has happened. And I don't know how we run school these days without taking legal opinion, because things happen in school on a daily basis that you can't act until you talk to someone, right? And you are talking to the person who knows the in and out of what the issues are. So I think when the parents must go to school and parents must ask school questions. School must give parents professional response, not emotional response, professional response. Okay, this is what has happened. This is our process of dealing with it. Give us also days so that we will come back to you and we adhere to those days. And those days is to do our own internal work, look at our own policy, look at our own system, and we're able to tell the parents categorically to say, this is our position in the matter without implicating ourselves, because there are some instances we implicate ourselves unnecessarily, right? So if the parent is satisfied with what the school has said, the parents can say, okay, I'm satisfied with the way you are handling it. If the parent is not satisfied, the parent cannot talk to his or her lawyer to say, well, this is what has happened in my child's school. This is what they have said. What do you think we should do? The lawyer will advise the parents as to what should do. Now, that is going on one hand. The other hand now is that the child needs help. I think the help that the child needs must be a cooperation between the parents and the school to say, okay, since this thing happened on our soil, what are we going to do? What kind of professional help can we get for this child? Because again, when a child is bullied, please, the child needs to be evaluated. No matter even it's yelling, because we want to limit bullying to beating. What about yelling? A school in Lagos now, they sued the school for how much now? Because the owner of the school yelled at a child in the midst of our friends, and the parents took it up. Now they are in court. I think they've sued the school for like how much million, I don't know. And see note, you say, okay, because a school leader yelled at a child. Yes, that's dominance, that's misuse of power, That's emotional abuse. And one of the easiest abuses to prove is emotional abuse, because you are not in the body of the child. The child is they are going to bring a psychologist now. They're going to bring a child psychologist. They're going to be asking the child, the child is going to say, I'm terrified anytime I see her. I have goose pimples. I have panic attack. Are you in the child's body? How are you going to say he does not have it when the child says he have it? You are not there. You are not. You can't say you don't have panic attack. Are you in me? I've been having nightmares since this thing happened. I've been seeing her in my dream, chasing me. I wake up sweating. Are you going to say it's not happening to him? You can't say so now. Are you in it?
Oh my God.
I mean, it's a lost battle. When you are accused of emotional abuse, it's almost a lost battle, because we are dealing with the subjective experience of the person that has gone through that thing. Are we getting it? So that's what parents should do. Parents should ask questions, but before we come to bullying, parents should ask questions. Parents should ask questions. The raising children is a cooperation between school. Do you know since 2015, the federal government came out with a report on violence against children. And this report made it abundantly clear that our children are going through abuse within the school system. 15% of sexual abuse happens to girls within the school system. 24% happens to boys. After looking at everything, they now prepared a document called Priority Action Document. That Priority Action now says, these are the things we need to do in accordance with Section 2 of the Child Rights Act of Nigeria, 2003, which says schools, everywhere children are gathered, they must have in place a tested, standardized manner of providing care. Under that, you put policy. Under that, you put child safeguarding and protection policy. Section 2 of the Child Rights Act is there. Even to the point of how many staff, how many ratio of staff to student, everything is stated. So they now said that one of the ways to deal with this matter is for every school to have a child safeguarding and protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. The Lagos State government bought into it and created for the first time a statewide child safeguarding and protection policy. I was privileged to be one of the consultants called by the Lagos State government to provide that service. I provided that service to the Lagos State government pro bono. I didn't charge them 1 naira. We want to produce a child safeguarding and protection policy for the entire Lagos State. Now, that policy becomes a template that schools are supposed to adopt and train their teachers on it. But the truth of the matter is today, if you ask the question, how many schools in Lagos State have a child safeguarding and protection system codified into a policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained periodically? A school was sued for how many millions of naira. And so they hired a senior advocate. So the senior advocate called us to say, so they said, the senior advocate called us to come and have a meeting. So in the meeting, I told them, I said, look, the fundamental issue here, our problem, is that we cannot say that we have in place the machinery to protect children. That is where these people are going to get us. And it is too late. I can't lie to you. I can't collect money from you now and say, let's begin. It is too late to be developing something. Now, if you want to develop something, you should develop it for another day, but not for this case. On this case, you have to be able to show, when our policy came into existence, you have to be able to show periodical training that we are having for our teachers. You have to be able to show the certificates you have been collecting. And we can't backdate certificate for you. We can't tell you we can't lose our career because of we can't. There's no amount of money that will make us do that. So unfortunately, maybe you want to call these parents and appeal and settle out of court. Because as I'm looking at it, the senior advocate said, I agree with you. I mean, maybe that's what we should do. I agree with you. Then maybe that's what we should do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your intervention. I said, we need to call the parents, find a way. We don't need to tell them we know we are guilty. We need to find a way, have a conversation with them. You're asking for 100 million. Can we do 25 million? What can we put together? Can we give your child a permanent scholarship to university? So find something to work out so that, because if you go to court, I can assure you, since you don't have all of these things in place, you are an open prison. You are like a war without, you are like a city without war. So for me, let me conclude by saying, I need to run along, that all that I've said to you, Thierry, sorry, 1 minute. Thierry.
Wow.
Thierry, Thierry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo.
My boy came, Thierry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo.
Okay, I think I should leave it there. So I can say that this is a symposium discussion. My platforms are open. I'm on YouTube. I have a channel on YouTube. I have over 340 videos loaded there. I have a blog where I've written over 1,000 articles on diverse matters. We have a news platform called Children Info Bank, where we have loaded over 5,000 materials that you can refer to. We have resource materials here and there. We have programs that we have designed, anti-bullying program that we have designed. We have a coaching program for school leaders. We just graduated 24 school leaders from that program. We are starting another one in August. We have a program on case management, how to deal with all of these issues. I spent 2 Saturdays doing that. I spent 2 days working with people to create an anti-bullying program, and infusing this 13-week training. I spent 2 days with leaders, and the results have been tremendous. So if you're interested in any of that, you can boss me. You can send me a message. If you find me on Instagram, I'm at Taiwo Akinlami Returns. On LinkedIn, I'm Taiwo Akinlami.
Could you please drop it, or could your team please drop it on the chat room, sir? The
yes,
details.
Taiwo Akinlami Returns is my Instagram handle. Taiwo Akinlami is my name on Twitter, X, on LinkedIn too. Then our YouTube channel is Taiwo Akinlami. 340 videos or more, 20,500 subscribers following us diligently right there. So it's something you want to check out. So if there's a way we can support you in any way, we are available to do that, and we can always help. So for me, all that I've said since is like, if I'm a laptop, I've not started booting. You have not even gotten my password. I've not even said anything. All that I've said is to find what I can say here and there to give expression to some of the things I think I could give expression to. But we can take it deeper. We can have a deeper relationship where we can take a look into deeper things that can help us to run school better, right? We also have a retainership program, in-one retainership program, which many schools in Lagos State and Nigeria have subscribed to, and we are solving problems for them every week. Our phone number is at their speed dial. They call Mr. Clark, this is going. What do we do? Write a legal opinion for us on this. Do this for us, and we are serving all of them without fail. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I mean, I am overwhelmed. I believe every other person here is. You know, the parents are so excited. You've blessed us so much, and there's a lot to take back home. So I hope parents heard all of what he said in terms of his handles. Please go ahead and check him out, because I think he wants to drop off now. We're so blessed with all you talked about. Modeling for parents, modeling for schools, in schools by teachers and school owners. And then most importantly for me, what resonated is where you talked about the learning outcome and behavioral outcome. And I think I'm also very happy that we have renowned school owners here. I believe, in fact, we are going to move straight to that, where we're going to talk about anti-bullying policies in schools. Mrs. Edna is going to speak to us on that. Thank you so much, sir. We'll definitely reach out to you more. Thank you for the impact you've made in the parenting space and children's space. Thank you for your sacrifices. Parents, please take advantage of this. Reach out to him on socials if you need to gain some of this knowledge. You know, furthermore, if you want to get more information, some of the resources he's talked about, if you want to get them, please reach out to him. I think his team has dropped some of the links on the chat room. So please feel free to go to the chat room and access some of these resources, okay? Thank you so much, sir. We are so grateful. We are definitely going to keep working with you. Like I said, the Good Kids, this is what we're all about. We're all about trying to restore good values and morals in children. And like you said, most times we've been focusing on education, we've been focusing on learning outcomes, and that's what has landed us here today. So that's what the Good Kids is all about. Restoring good values, morals, everything that surrounds the behavioral aspect of children. That's what we are all about. So I'm so excited we have you here today. And
Okay,
please
madam,
indulge us. We're going to keep reaching out to you, sir.
As I run along, thank you very much for having me.
All right.
I hardly do programs on Sunday because I try to reserve it for the family. But when you reached out to me, you mentioned Mr. Moduligbe is my bosom friend, my personal person. When I hear his name and the fact that I've been with you in the powder room before, I had to yield to this invitation. Thank you so much for having me. I want to celebrate every speaker that is here today. Thank you so much for spending time, Madam. The Mrs. Kelechi, thank you for the great work that you do. I'm sorry I have to run. We have a family function. My family have been waiting for me. That's why my son ran here the other time. So thank you very much. See you. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Obaze, Mrs. Fumi, Mrs. Adama, thank you so much. We have just a few more questions before we wrap it up and then we ask for. So please, parents and teachers who are here, please feel free to start dropping your questions on the chat room because we're wrapping up right now. Please start dropping your questions so we can take a few questions before we call it a day. Mrs. Obaze, ma'am, you've had over 30 years experience in managing schools. That's a whole lot. We want to ask. Now, Mr. Taiwo talked a lot about anti-bullying policies and then the child safeguarding and protection policy, which also speaks into anti-bullying policies, right? And based on your extensive experience managing schools, I believe this is something you've done over time. Could you please tell us a bit more about what should be, in an anti-bullying policy? What must be in an effective anti-bullying policy for schools? What must be part of the content of an effective anti-bullying policy for schools?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I would say this session has been awesome. I've known Mr. Akilame so I knew we're going to have a good time today. In our school, for example, we have the child safeguarding and protection policy in the school. And we also have what we call behavioral policy. The behavioral policy, when the child is coming into the school, we give it to the parents and the children, and they have a place they have to read, and they sign that they've read it, because before then we found out that when you send papers to parents, they don't really read, they just throw it away. So we came up with, you just must read and sign that you have read it. So we have that in our school. But, listening to him now, I know we still have to do more. Every individual is an extension of a home, of a family. At school, children are a representation of their individual family. So I know he has talked extensively about the home. For parents who are present here today, I think it's something that you have to take back home. Absolutely. Very, very important that we help our children to develop properly. We are part of the developmental milestones of our children, being there for them, communicating with them, loving them, empathizing with them, because most of the time, the children model what the parents, So to have a good child safeguarding and protection policy is something that the school community, when I say the school community, I'm talking about the teachers, the students, and the parents. Everybody must be aware and everybody must key into it. For the ones in the school, it is just like Ms. Akilame said, it's something that you have to review at every point in time. You also have to make sure that you are following whatever that has been stated in that policy. For example, a step we say, when there's bullying in the school, what is the first step? What do you do as a teacher? Then, how do you communicate that to the principal? What are the steps you take? What do you do to the bullied? What do you do to the person that is bullying and to the bullied? What else do you do? How do you escalate it to the parents? All those things must be in that behavior policy, and all those things are in child safeguarding policy. We must create awareness against bullying by educating and sensitizing all students on the dangers of bullying. Very, very important. For example, in our school, we have a signboard. We have some signboards in the school that talk about bullying. Bullies are weak, you know, just a statement to make sure that the children don't participate in bullying, and for them to know people who bully, why they bully, you know. So we have what we call open communication channel in the school, between the school and the students. You must have that so that the children are free. You must have that free door kind of thing that the children can come in and discuss bullying. And when a child comes to bully, you must take it seriously, very, very serious. It's not something you just push aside. Oh, don't worry. Oh, she was just playing with you. Everything is important. Every aspect is important. So as a school, you must take control immediately. And there's something he also said, we communicate to the parents immediately. There's no need to cover up anything, because just like he said, it's very easy, because you don't want to be termed or labeled as a bad school, you tend to want to cover up a lot of things. We don't cover, you don't need to cover. It's better to throw it out and you find solutions to it. So communication with the parents is very, very important. One of the things we have done to stop bullying is, so I wouldn't say that bullying is exterminated, but it's minimized. Hostels, for example, we have senior boys hostel for our boarding school, senior boys hostel and junior boys hostels. We have, even during, in the dining room, we have senior boys and junior boys, so that they coming together, you know, it's the coming together most times that makes it almost impossible not to bully. And of course, we don't allow phones in the school. We don't allow provisions in the school, because those are the things that start giving that class distinction in the school system. So the behavioral policy of the school is something that everybody knows and everybody understands. And it's something, it's like a riot act that is read out at every point in time. We have what we call anti-bullying week in the school. Anti-bullying week is taken over by the children. It's the children that do all the signs, that talk on assembly. So at the end of the day, it is run by the student body. So we have inscriptions and all those messages, drama, that are presented on assembly for the children. We have what we call character counts. There was something he said just now about, I'm just putting up everything at the same time because we are saying that we don't really have time. So I'm just putting up a lot of things just because we have people here who can just pick one or two things to take back home. Well, we have what we call character counts. Just like he said, it is not just about academic work. Character is very, very important. In our board, on our assembly, the wall of our assembly, we have what we call character counts, and that is even more important than the academic work in the school. There's something called the 3 R's of bullying. You must recognize, you must report, and you must refuse. That has been taught to the students. And these are all part of what we have in the child safeguarding and protection policy. The other thing is we have what we call a merit and demerit board. The merit and demerit board. The demerit and what's it called? Diamond board. That has helped to at least it has helped the students to understand the reason why they shouldn't bully themselves. We have told them they must see themselves as brothers and sisters. We teach kindness, we teach empathy, we teach emotional intelligence, very, very important. And I would just like to say that to extend this further from that safeguarding policy, we went as far as naming our classes as virtues. So you find out a class may be called year 7 order, year 7 humility, year 7 charity, year 7 kindness, just to imbibe those virtues. And at the same time, what we also do, we have what we call on assembly. You come and model or do a drama on these virtues. All these things I'm saying is they are just all to help the children to imbibe and connect with these anti-bullying policies. As a school, you need to teach love, you need to teach kindness, you need to teach sympathy, you need to teach empathy, you need to teach compassion, and you need to teach care, so that, like we said, this is not just all about academic work in the school. It's not just about getting the A's. It's about getting out of the school and having good character. And as we all know, emotional intelligence is what keeps you on the job, not more of your grades or the certificates that brought you into that job. It's emotional intelligence. And as schools, we need to start teaching emotional intelligence in the school. Well, I would like to just say that bullying is everywhere. Minimizing is what can be done, just like Mr. Taiwo Akilami said. Bullying it can only be minimized. The only way that bullying can be exterminated is we have to stem from the adults, because like we said, it's the children that are modeling whatever they're learning from the adults. So it's a whole lot of things. It's a whole lot of things to put together for us to stop bullying outrightly. I don't know, I'm not too sure if bullying can be stopped outrightly, but it can be minimized. It can be brought to a minimal level that there will almost be nothing like bullying in a school, So that's just what I have to contribute. Awareness by the children, awareness by the parents, awareness by the school, by the teachers, the school community. Everybody understands what it takes and what it's supposed to be. And no dull moments, no keeping of secrets, exposing a lot of things to the parents, letting parents be aware of what is going on. Open communication channel between the school, the students, and parents. Very, very, very important. That's all I just have to contribute to that.
Wow, thank you so much, ma'am. I think that has been wonderful. Parents, I believe we are all listening and we are taking notes. I think we are actually fast spent in terms of time. We've really tried today. I want to thank my panelists a whole lot. You people have really stayed with us throughout this 2-hour session. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, everyone. One last question before we call it a day, and then we start taking in questions. Mrs. Fumi, what would you like to say to parents in terms of what they need to do, or what they should do, or how they should handle, how they should teach, what they should teach their child to do when they are being bullied in school or anywhere else? What should parents teach their child in terms of what they should do when they are bullied?
Oh, okay. So thank you very much. One of the things we have said here today and that I would like to reemphasize is modeling. So like he said, you cannot give what you do not have. And so a lot of virtues, like when we say empathy and so many other things, has to be taught to the children. Also, one aspect that we didn't look at before going into what you really asked is anger management. So we have to do a lot about it. Even most adults, they get angry easily. They're not patient, especially in these times and in this season. And so we have to teach our children a lot about that. So if we are parents and, maybe they get bullied, we have to tell them some things about bullying and what they must do. Like we have I'm sure we all talked about the bystanders. So those people that will watch, people being bullied, and you see some people recording it. And we have the upstanders, those people that would do something about bullying. And that is what we must teach our children. For that, we must understand our children first, have an open discussion, like I said, with our children. Then we must tell them, they must have a friend that they can confide in. When I say a friend, doesn't necessarily mean their peer. It may be a trusted adult. It may even be a teacher. It may be a counselor. So they must learn to speak up, and we must learn to interrupt it. And like, Mrs. Edna said, we must try as much as possible to call bullying what it is, to make it very unattractive to children, to tell them this is weird, this cannot be, you just acted mean, this is really weird, this is not the norm, this should not be done here. So we should call it unattractive names, and character counts all the time, character counts. So these are the things that we must talk to our children about. We must also try to, I would like to go again to the home, because I realized something again, the corporal punishment in schools. They give a lot of corporal punishments in schools, and at times in some schools. We must learn to minimize it, because I could remember when we were in the boarding house, at times when you see something happening, like maybe the first child, you want to go and try it at home. So we have a lot of even bullying with your siblings, amongst siblings. So you have to be very, very careful. You have to talk to the child. You have to let the child confide in you, what exactly is happening. And then do not be a very permissive parent. Be very involved in what your child is doing. Give your child the listening ears. Let him talk to you, and let's report whatever act of bullying this is. Because it's not just going to, like he has said, we should not call maybe the bully or the bullied until it's in the court of law, but it's going to help both parties and all parties, even those who are not involved. By the time we speak up and we get necessary help, if we know, especially parents, if we know that, we've done all these things and it's not working, then we can seek professional help, from relevant bodies that can help us, mental health, emotional health experts, and all that. So thank you very much. Yes, that's my contribution. Thank you
so much, Mrs. Funmi. Thank you so much. I think today has been amazing. I think I want to believe that we've learned so much. Omo, are there questions on the chat room? Because it's time for questions. But let me just do a quick recap from all of the speakers today. I believe the key things that we're taking home would be, first of all of these things start from the home. Parents, it starts from you. What are you modeling for your children? What kind of life are you living at home? How do you express yourself at home, right? How do you relate with your children? How do you relate with your spouse? How do you relate with your help? Your children are watching. They are watching, and those are the things they are picking. Those are the attributes they are picking. Those are the characters they are picking. Saliently, you might not know, but they are picking it. Like Mr. Taiwo said, they didn't fall from the tree. They came to this world innocent. They came in without any knowledge. The knowledge they have today, we impacted in them. The parents, Mr. Taiwo, if I'm to go by Mr. Taiwo's analogy, parents 70%, schools 30%. I would say parents 70%, school, maybe parents 60%, school 20%, or maybe parents 70%, school 20%, and society 10%. I would say parents 70%, school 20%, society 10%, because society also plays a role. But you see, the bulk of it lies with you, the parents. How are you living your life at home? How are you living your life? I know a lot of mothers are here today. I also think a few fathers are here today. I wish for this kind of sessions, it should be both parents coming to join, because it's how we live our lives at home. That is what the child is going to pick. And that's how they're going to go out there and also live their lives, right? So modeling is number one. Number two is speaking to schools now. what school is your child going to? That child, have you asked them for their anti-bullying policy? You heard the examples that Mr. Taiwo gave, right? He asked about anti-bullying policy. It was non-existent. That school that your child is going to today, have you asked them about their anti-bullying policy? Do they have an anti-bullying policy? If they don't have, that's a recipe for disaster. It means that anything can happen in that school. It means they're enablers. So if you're not aware of that, today you've heard it. When you go back to their school or when you go for PTA meeting, or you don't even have to wait for PTA to happen. Whenever you get to that school, make it a point of view to go to the school and ask about their anti-bullying policy. If they don't have an anti-bullying policy there, it's probably time for you to leave that school. We have Mrs. Edna here. We have Mrs. Alex Adama. Both of them run schools and they have anti-bullying policies. They have amazing schools. So if you're looking for a school to go to, there are probably people you should speak to. Mrs. Edna runs Emerald group of schools consisting of about 10 schools. Mrs. Alex runs Pleroma International School in Port Harcourt. So those are the schools you should check out, right? So that you don't have a situation whereby your child is bullied and then nobody is doing anything about it. Let's not wait for it to happen before we take action, parents. Yeah, so another thing that was pointed out also is modeling even inside the school. So for us that own schools, school teachers, school owners, how are you also modeling in the school? Because modeling is not only for parents. The school also has to model. The teacher that is teaching the child, you have to also model. How are you teaching that child? How are you leading that child? Are you, displaying some kind of attitude that doesn't show any form of empathy? How do you expect that child to be empathetic if you're not displaying it, right? So it also goes down towards the school owners. So at this point, I think I would like to know if I want to believe that we've all taken notes and we've learned a couple of things. Omar, do we have questions?
None for now. No question. No question for now.
Oh, no questions for now. Parents, do we have any questions? Should we assume that there are no questions? Or I think Mrs. Mba has a question. Her hands are up. Mrs. Mba, please take the floor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyra. So I have a contribution to everything that has been said. So I take sociology, and from the perspective of sociology, we have different forms of influences.
Kyra, apologies to cut you short. You are how old? Because I know you're a child.
I'm
so
14.
I want everyone to know that you're a child so that
I'm 14.
Fantastic. A 14-year-old girl. So go ahead, Tech.
So from the perspective sociology is in, family is the first form of socialization. It's where you learn all your basic norms and values. It's where you learn everything you're supposed to do in society at first. Like wake up in the morning and say good morning. Like come downstairs, brush your teeth, those kind of things. Then next comes your school. Your school will be your secondary form of socialization. It's going to teach you things we call the hidden curriculum. Like when you see something on the floor, pick it if you're in a public place. When you're with friends, you don't fight, you don't raise your voice. When you do your work at all times, you're respectful. Things like that. Then we have our religion, because we'll always have influences from outside. Other people would always talk to us. We go to church. And even if we don't go to church, our parents, friends that probably go to church and come and see us, the way they act, the way they talk about the religion, it will also affect us. Then our peer group, because these are people that we hang around all the time. They would naturally have influence on us. So if we hang around bad people, their bad character would also influence us. So these are the people that have control over our relationship, over the way we act. Our family first, school, then religion, then our peer group. Religion and peer group are always put on the same level because they have the same level of influence on a child. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Kyra. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so excited to hear from you, coming from a child who understands all of this. Thank you so much. Parents, I hope we are also seeing that children can also be this knowledgeable, right? And I believe our children are as well, I'm happy to hear this. So I want to know if there are other parents or children in the house who would like to say something before we call it a day. Questions, contributions. Do we have from other platforms? Omo, I know we're streaming on other platforms. Do we have questions from other platforms as well?
Can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, I love that girl. There's something she said now, and there's something I just want to make a little clear, something that is different from what it used to be. You know, those days we used to say teacher or parents are the first teachers of their children. You know, it's an addict. Parents are the first. It has shifted. That has shifted. The first teachers of your children now are, the first one is the social media, and the second one is their peers.
Yeah.
I think the school and parents come third or fourth. I don't know which one is fourth or third. So we need, as parents, we need to recognize that now, and we need to take the bull by the horn to take that back, because the social media is the first teacher of your children.
Wow. That's the age that we are in today. Yes. That's why it's more difficult to parent children now.
Yes.
Because beyond even what you're doing, social media is doing a whole lot more, a lot more harm to them.
Yeah.
So for people or parents who are exposing their children to the media at a very early age, that's probably something you should look at again. Because what it means that you no longer now have full control in terms of the influence over your child. Something else, the outside world, the media is now influencing your child. So parents, I hope you heard that. And thank you so much, Mrs. Obaze. Thank you so much. Okay, so in the absence of no more question or contribution, I think we can now call it a day. I want to say once again, thank you so much, Mrs. Obaze. Thank you so much, Mrs. Alex. Thank you so much, Mrs. Fumi. I think Mr. Taiwo has dropped off. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. It's been really an honor to have all of you on this panel today. I want to believe that the parents have been blessed tremendously, and they are not just going to be blessed, but they're going to go back and take action, because it's time for action. It's beyond just hearing all you've heard. You have to go back. We have to now take action, right? We have to go back and implement all we've heard, starting from us, the parents, modeling the lifestyle, the kind of life we want to see in our children. Yes, we learned a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I don't know if Mrs. Alex, do you have anything to say before we call it today? Mrs. Fumi, anything to say? Because we've come to the end of today's session.
Wow.
Please, you can also feel free to drop your handles. Mrs. Fumi, please feel free to drop your handles. Mrs. Alex, Mrs. Obaze, so that those of them that want to reach out to you, or your email, anyone that is easy for them to reach out to you on, please feel free to drop it on the chat room.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Madam Chisom, for the opportunity. Thank you to all the speakers and parents. Thank you. I mean, we've also learned from you. The young lady, thank you very much. I saw Kelechi Mba, but I don't know her real name.
It's
Maybe that's her name. Yeah. So thank you very much for that contribution. Coming from a child, it is quite commendable. So,
Absolutely.
she mentioned something about the church. Unfortunately, the church somehow has also failed somewhat. Because most of these churches have drifted from what they're supposed to be doing. Talking about the church, I remember someone saying, now you're an adult, your parents can no longer slap you, they can't beat you because you're an adult, and even your pastor cannot talk to you. So many people go to churches, once the pastor tries to correct them, they walk away, go to another. The usher tells you to sit somewhere, you refuse, sit where you want to sit, and your children are with you. So some things have gone wrong on so many levels, but the most important thing here is for us to, even as school owners and as parents, in humility, admit that we have not scored 100%, and then go back in humility to start changing things. We need to be intentional. First of all, like the the lawyer said, you're asking yourself, where did I fail? In humility, tell yourself you have not gotten it right here and there. There was something my child told me. He said to me, there was something we were talking about, and he said, Mama, you're actually doing well. Even when I don't get it right, I want you to know that you're doing well. This is your first time being a parent to a teenager. He said to me, yes, you're teaching teenagers, but this is your first time of being a parent to a teenager. I'm your first child. So as he was talking, it touched me because we don't beat ourselves so hard. We learn. There's always a first time.
Yeah.
This has happened in your school and you didn't quite get it. In humility, go back to the drawing board, see what you can do, see what you can change. If you need to if you have yelled at the child, if you need to apologize to the child, if you need to apologize to other people who watched you yell at the child, it doesn't change the fact that what the child did was wrong, because two wrongs would not make a right. So it's been an amazing time being here. Thank you very much, speakers. Thank you, Madam Chisholm.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think what you said made absolute 100% sense. You know, we can't always get it right as parents. It's a journey, you know, and it's a lifelong journey. And the truth is that some of us nobody went to parenting school, as much as I know. I don't think there's any parenting school. There's school for every other thing else, but there's no parenting school. But parenting is one thing you will do all your life, you know. So yes, it's okay it's okay for us to fail at times, you know, for us to miss it at times. But most importantly, we need to pick up our pieces and move again and give it a shot again, right? So even if we failed here and there, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself as a parent. Take this as an opportunity to start again. Take this as an opportunity to try again, right? And this time around, try better. Do it better, right? So thank you so much, everyone. And before I forget, Mrs. Fumi runs a book club actually for kids. It's called Mrs. Fumi, you want to speak a bit about your book hub? It's called Best Buddies Book Hub.
Yeah. It's called the Best Buddies Book Hub. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you.
So for those of you who have children and you love them, before we forget, Omo, please drop the link to our WhatsApp channel. If you want to hear more about the programs that we do, our monthly webinars, please join the channel. You're going to be getting all of the information you need to get about the Good Kids and all of the programs, webinars we're going to be doing. You'll be the first person to hear about it. Please join our WhatsApp channel, where we're going to drop the link to it right now. Please join so that you can get all the information you need to get. Yeah, so if you have children and you want them to inculcate a reading habit, the Best Buddies Book Hub is the right place for them to be. Mrs. Fumi, please, I hope you also dropped your information so that they can reach out to you in case they need their children to be on your book club.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Yes, the Best Buddies Book Hub, we inculcate the reading culture and improve literacy skills in children, and also help to improve their vocabulary usage. Thank you very much, Ms. Chisholm. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Fantastic. So we've just dropped the link to Omo, have you dropped the link?
Not yet. Trying to do that now.
Okay. So we're dropping the link to our WhatsApp group. So please feel free to join. I don't know who dropped this. Temitope? I can see Temitope dropped a group link. Temitope,
yes,
which
yes.
is
the WhatsApp channel?
Oh, the WhatsApp channel. Fantastic. So please, parents, teachers, feel free to click the link and join now so that we can always update you. You get to know everything firsthand, everything about the Good Kids. Our webinars, our programs, everything. And then if you also want, you also want us to come to your school to speak on any of these topics, feel free to also ask us about it, right? I will drop my email address as well. Omo, please drop the Good Kids email address for those of them that want to reach out to us on speaking events or anything, so they can reach out to us. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of today's session. It's been a very long one, But I believe the fact that we still have some people here, it means that they were able to get a lot of value. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on this fantastic session. We charge you to go back to version of yourself as parents. Thank you, and thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Have a fantastic evening. Okay. So the Good Kids Company email address is already on the chat room. You can take that from there. Thank you.